All right. It's time again for some more power rankings reveals, power reveal rankings. We're going to talk about how bad your team is. And thankfully, I'm joined by a guest yet again. His name is Koral. Koral, I'm so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here, Ben.
He even lies for me. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Got to make the video sound good.
Yeah. At least more interesting than just by myself. So,
We'll
again,
give it a shot.
thank you. I've brought back the world's greatest slideshow presentation to run through a recap of our power rankings thus far. Number 12, don't know. Number 11, not sure. Number 10, not telling. Yes, Ryan is still at number 9. Number 8, I don't know. We're here to talk about number 7, who is Team Dylon. Currently still Dylan's Daring team, which I believe is the ESPN auto-generated one. We could do a little bit better than that, Dylan.
Please, Dylan, do better than that.
And we've made it to number 5, who is Chitty, but these are all out of order anyway, so I'm just going to reveal them as they come up. So anyway, there's that.
I like it.
Now, go away. Exit. Perfect. Let's talk about it. Dylan, if we take a look here at ESPN, is currently projected as number 5 in the league. If we go out to Fantasy Pros, Dylan is sitting at number 7. I hate to agree with Fantasy Pros, but for me, the 7th ranking felt a little bit more accurate than 5. So that's where we're at for now.
5 seems a little optimistic.
Yeah, 5, and we'll kind of get into that as we move along here. There are a couple of question marks when we look at Dylan's team, but overall, he's above the red line, the red line being the playoff cutoff. I think that works out. But Carl, maybe we should dive into things, huh?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to pull up ye old draft board.
Excellent.
And we'll take a look at Dylan's team. Dylan drafted out of the number 2 spot to begin the draft. And he bucked the trend. He went with Tyreek Hill, wide receiver there. The whole Christian McCaffrey sliding out of the top 3 still is a little bit mind-boggling for me. But
kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, can kind of see some reasons for it.
Right.
Injuries, age, et cetera. But,
yeah.
I mean, if we're going to talk injuries and age, we probably can't ignore Tyreek Hill either because
that's a fair point.
Dude's 30 and, was a little gimpy for part of the year last year. But anywho, I think Tyreek Hill is a good pick. Jefferson was already off the board. Really, any of the, basically the first 5 picks, you really couldn't go wrong with any of them. As you look at them there, like I got no beef with Hill being the pick there.
No, especially if you want to talk, upside. Just big play upside. Maybe not, youth and longevity as upside, but the ability to really blow up the stat sheet.
Right. Go off any given week or go off any given month or two.
Right.
They're at month and a half into the season, we were talking about him maybe going for 2,000 yards last year.
Oh, even further. I think, it was realistic up until December, I want to say. I think he was on track to really shatter some stuff.
Yeah.
Until, I don't remember, was it his hamstring or something like that caught up with him at the end of the year?
I'd say maybe an ankle or something. I don't remember for sure. But slowed him a little.
But yeah, he's at least got a couple of years left in him.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, he's going to need to pay off all that child support. So, if he had visions of retiring anytime soon, he's on his 10th or 11th kid now. So,
good God, seriously?
Yeah, they just announced he passed a paternity test. I don't know what the result is when you
Pass,
find
fail,
out that,
hard to say which.
right.
Shit.
So yeah, his 10th child was just announced. I think just last week or a couple weeks ago. So
Oh, that poor
mom.
kid. And
Anyway,
moving on.
yeah, we're really up on Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, good pick. Bad
Good
human.
pick, bad dude.
Yes, yes. Pacheco, I really like. I mean, he's entertaining as hell to watch, which is always a bonus.
Yeah.
He's still got, I think, upside. We discussed a little bit earlier before the video started. Jerick McKinnon is out. So really his only competition is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who sounds like is third in the pecking order behind imaginary undrafted rookies, right? So
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I saw the other day. Like some no-name guy is getting carries in practice ahead of Edwards-Helaire. So I mean, Pacheco's the dude.
there you go. Laporta, I mean, in the third round, yeah, that's awesome. I feel like I think right now Laporta is still kind of tight end number one, or being discussed as tight end one in fantasy talking head circles. So I think right here in the third round is a really good value for him.
Yep. Third
No
round
reason-
must be second tight end off the board. Don't mind that.
Yeah, yep. No reason to envision his role decreasing in his second year after he had, obviously good rapport with Goff last year, caught like 10 or 11 touchdowns, I think. So there you
He had
go.
a big year.
Yeah. Nico Collins in the fourth round. Anything to
Never
add?
been able to get excited about the guy, but he does tend to put up numbers. So, I mean, don't mind a pick. I don't really quite know for sure what to expect out of that offense. Is Stroud the guy he looked like as a rookie? Is he gonna, step back at all? Is he gonna step forward? Like what's he gonna do? There is the whole Stephon Diggs thing there now too.
See, that's the big one. I think it's safe to assume we're going to see points out of the offense. Maybe the bigger question mark is, where is the ball going to go on any given week?
Right.
So Nico Collins, like Tyreek Hill, we might see a couple big splash weeks, but maybe it's going to be feast or famine, where he's going to have to wait 2 or 3 weeks before he blows up.
Could be. But that being said, I do think he's probably the number 2 target in that offense, so that should help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got James Conner, who, yes, getting a little bit old, a little bit long in the tooth, but it's been super consistent as the Cardinals running back. So I know they drafted Trey Benson. There's a lot of buzz. I think people just get excited about rookies in general, but
Absolutely.
I don't think the Cardinals at this point in time have any reason to try and force James Conner off the field. So why not?
I think it's a good pick. He's, starting running back. Probably not a ton of additional upside there, but, you're probably looking for a guy for this year. You're probably not looking to contract him. So I think it's a good pick.
Good point. Yeah. And then the final pick of the first rounds was Lamar Jackson. Koral, I know you love the Ravens and more specifically Lamar Jackson. So
I mean, I would love to shit on this pick, but I just can't. I mean, Lamar Jackson at the tail end of round 6. Yeah, I mean, the guy who went after Lamar Jackson was Jordan Love. Like
right.
that kind of means you got a real good pick with Lamar Jackson there.
I
kind of a shock he managed to fall that far, but it's a damn good pick.
Yeah, it was one of those deals where I took Anthony Richardson the round before, and then I realized that Lamar was still out there afterwards, and I was like, "Oh my god, why did I do that?"
Yeah, it was not a wise move on your part, Ben. But teaser, we're just about to talk about Dylan making a similarly not wise move.
Ooh, God, look at that. You are a pro at this. Jeez. Well, okay, let's talk about the first 6 rounds real quick. Honestly, I gave it an A grade when I looked at it initially, and I think I'm inclined to kind of stick with that. I feel like this is a pretty solid group. There's, we talked about a little bit of upside with guys like Tyreek and Pacheco. Um, I don't think there's really any risk that stands out. Maybe if you want to talk about like Lamar Jackson's injury history, but
right. The only thing that really sticks, not even sticks out, but the only thing that's really there as far as these 6 guys goes is if someone gets hurt, which, injury history being what it is for some guys, whatever. We all know injuries are effectively unpredictable.
Yeah.
So,
I really like this group. What do you
I think it's a good group.
Okay.
It's a good start.
Perfect. All right. Now, Koral hinted at some maybe a little bit of negativity here in the middle rounds. We opened up with Khalil Mack.
My least favorite pick of Dylan's draft. And the problem isn't Mack himself. Mack's a good player. Mack had a great season last year. Problem is, I just don't for 1 second buy that he's going to have quite as explosive as a season as he did last year. I mean, he had a 58-point game. We just looked before we started the video, he had 6 games where he had 20 or more points. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
He can do that again? Come on. Probably not. And most importantly, the picks that came shortly after, within the next round and a half, we saw TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, and Nick Bosa. I can't get behind drafting Khalil Mack ahead of any of those 4 guys, certainly not ahead of all 4 of those guys.
Yeah. Mac, I mean, and I get it, they pushed him up the rankings boards based pretty much solely on last year. And yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic year, but maybe a little too fantastic because,
right.
Yeah, if you're banking on a guy who really feasted with like a 6-sack game and, a few other blowups of 20 plus points along the way, it's just not meant to be. So
it feels like he's doomed to a regression.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, good call on that one. Robbed a lot of value. When you look 2 picks later, you could have had TJ Watt instead, or Myles Garrett, even a few picks later. So, yeah, really, really good call out on that one. Then we go to Jaden Reed, who is really like, he's one of the most hyped receivers that I don't understand why. I mean, there are oodles of, guys who talk about all these fancy ADOTs and, air yards and things like that. And apparently these are all metrics that Jaden Reed really excels at. But it's a wide receiver group that I think even if you asked the Green Bay Packers, they would say, yeah, we're just going to, each week there's going to be a different guy. And they've got, no reason to identify a number 1 guy and treat him as such when all 4 of their receivers all play really kind of unique roles in that offense. And
when none of them have proven able, at least not yet, to consistently be a number 1.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of ability. Just I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit scared of all of them. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't like the Reed pick. I think it's a good pick. I think there's a lot of upside there.
Yeah.
Just not quite sure what exactly we're going to get out of it.
Yeah, no, that's the bigger point. Very similar to Nico Collins. It's an offense that I would want to be invested in. Right. I like the player. I like the possibility, the upside, but It could be another one of those roller coaster rides where, every 3 weeks you're going to be really happy that you had Jaden Reed starting that week, or
Right.
really pissed off you had him benched because it was 2 bad weeks before that. So who knows?
Right.
We go more defense, Jonathan Grenard. I think that's a pretty good pick. I like that,
That's a
maybe
good pick.
Vikings homerism there, but
Maybe a little bit, like if he can do anything close to what he did last year, I think that's a good snag.
Yeah.
And where he went.
Yeah, I think Flores will absolutely get a lot out of him. So yeah,
Right.
it's cool. Let's do it.
Yep.
Logan Wilson after that, maybe the least sexy yet consistent linebacker in the NFL.
Right.
So,
that's a solid pick. It's solid is the perfect word for that pick.
right. It's, no one's excited about Logan Wilson, but man, everyone's happy that Logan Wilson is just the guy that gets 10.5 tackles and, a TFL, and you're
every
on your
damn game. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Consistent and reliable.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yep.
We see a rookie come off the board after that. We go Lad McConkey. Everybody likes the token white guy slot receiver, especially in Southern California. Your thoughts?
Sounded like gibberish. But I suppose that's a cup reference.
Thank you.
No, I think McConkey's a good pick there. Here again, we've talented, but rookie, so really hard to say what exactly we're going to get out of him this year. Might be more of a future move, but I think it's a good pick right there.
Honestly, when I think of the rookie wide receiver class as a whole, he might be one of the safer this year bets. Like, I could see Marvin Harrison blowing up. I could see, I don't want to say Lad McConkey blowing up, but Lad McConkey being consistently startable.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely room on that Chargers offense for someone to do something.
That's it. Yeah. It's
like no one knows who it's going to be. I have now, in the past few days, seen that Quentin Johnson either isn't going to see the field at all, or Harbaugh really likes him and he's going to play all the time because he got a bad reputation. And I'm like, well, welcome to training camp. But the point is, there are some question marks in the receiver room for the Chargers.
Yes.
McConkey's got a chance.
For sure. For sure. After McConkey, we go to, spoiler alert, the last running back that Dylan took, Devin Singletary.
Third and last. No, not really a knock on Singletary. I think he's a solid pick there. Yeah, not a lot of upside, but hopefully he can find some consistency at some point or other. I'd feel all right about him as a third running back. I don't feel great about only having 3 running backs.
Yeah, that's going to be probably my biggest sticking point out of this whole draft is you need some more horses, man, because those
guys are going to get hurt. And we start 2 plus 2 flex spots. I mean, you don't want to just throw 4 wide receivers at it every single week, or at least you don't want to be forced to.
No. Initially, when I looked at this, I gave this probably a higher grade than it was warranted. I'd call it I'd maybe call this a B- now. Again, these aren't guys that I don't like per se. Maybe just my issue would be with some of the values, Max specifically. But yeah.
Yep. I can see that.
All right. In an effort to fight turning this into a 40-minute video, let's talk about the final swath of players.
Yeah. Run through them as quick as we can.
All right. Here we go. Linebacker, EJ Speed, Gabe Davis, Jacoby Myers, Byron Young, Nate
All right.
Hobbs.
Holy crap. You really are just running through them all.
You told me to do it.
No, just keep going.
Okay, Nate Hobbs, Brandon Jones, Blake Cashman, Cortland Sutton, Dallas Turner, JJ McCarthy. Wow, we're getting heavy on Vikings. Harrison Phillips and Adonai Mitchell.
All right. Well, so Speed's a good pick. I like him. Good linebacker. I think that's a good pick right there. Gabe Davis, probably solid, especially where it's at, 14th round. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think they've been telling us that dude's going to blow up and be great for years now. I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I think he is what he is, which is fine in the 14th round. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Jacoby Myers, probably the number 2, definitely the number 2 receiver, probably the number 2 target, maybe the number 3 target in Vegas. That's a real solid pick in the 15th round. Like,
I think I looked this up before. I want to say that Jacoby Myers finished as wide receiver 24 last year.
Okay.
Which is really wild to think about.
It is.
I mean,
and
yeah,
pretty damn solid for like the 5th wide receiver draft. 6th? Is this the 6th wide receiver that Dylan drafted?
You might be right. Yeah,
I think it is. Which, so if you're getting the guy that finished, 24th last year, it's a pretty good pick there.
There's drama around Devontae Adams. Maybe he holds out, looks for a trade, whatever the case may be. I mean, no, absolutely not. So there's a universe where Jacoby Myers is the wide receiver in Las Vegas.
There was also a universe where he was the wide receiver in New England, and that didn't work out that great for him either.
Well, I think touchdowns what ended up kneecapping him in New England, right? Like didn't he go?
Yeah, they just didn't score those.
1 touchdown or something like that.
Patriots just didn't score touchdowns. It's just not something they did.
Right. Anyway, that's a lot of attention for Jacoby Myers.
Right.
Byron Young, I like the player. He's your 3rd edge rusher here, so yeah, why the hell not?
Yeah.
Nate Hobbs and Brandon Jones. I just don't get excited about DBs. And
you've got a weird hatred. I know.
It's not, fine. That's fair.
Yeah.
But then when you talk about Hobbs, I mean, he's just a corner. So that's even less exciting for me. It's not like he's going to get a lot of tackles or anything. So
fair. I think they'll both be fine. I'm not excited about either of them.
Right. They're just DBs, man. Who cares?
Yeah.
Blake Cashman. Blake Cashman's interesting because there's a lot of steam about him being the LB1 in Minnesota, even though they've got Ivan Pace, who had a really, really good rookie season. So, where there's smoke, maybe there's fire. Maybe Blake Cashman has a much bigger role than I would have thought in Minnesota. But, I mean, this late in the draft, you're potentially getting the LB1 for a team. So, shit, yeah, why not?
Right. Well, and this late in the draft, like, a lot of these are just kind of dart throws anyway.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the next one, Cortland Sutton. Speaking of guys who they've been promising big breakout campaigns for years now, like, dude's talented, should easily be the number 1 receiver there. Like, the hell is his competition at this point? Of course, does have the question of who the hell's the quarterback. But this late in the draft, I love the Cortland Sutton pick. That's I think that's a really good pick there.
Yeah, oodles of value this late. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, might turn into nothing, but that's a really good lottery ticket to grab.
We paired up Jonathan Grenard with Dallas Turner. So, yes, Dylan does own the entire Vikings front 7 at this point, maybe. I don't know. I see he's got the D tackle. He's got a linebacker. He's got two ends. So, he at least owns most of it.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. I mean, again, it's late. I don't think this pick. That might be kind of looking for a future type of thing. Who knows what that might be this year? Could be great, could be nothing. Hard to say, but don't mind the pick this late.
No. JJ McCarthy, the speculative QB of the future.
Yeah.
I get having two QBs. I don't have any big gripes with it, but maybe you just want to bank on a second QB that actually has a job first. So
yeah, it's a one QB league. I don't know that rostering the guy who might be starting for Minnesota next year is worthwhile right now. But it does mean that, in week 2, when he needs to drop somebody to pick someone up off waivers, he's got a pretty obvious drop candidate.
Honestly, though, that's a good point. There is value in having easily cuttable guys versus guys that are, second receivers on bad offenses where you're like, well, maybe I need to hang on to this guy just to see what happens.
Keep trying to convince yourself that, Ben.
There's moving on behind it, right? Come on, like whatever, it's fine. Harrison Phillips is a D tackle. He's another guy that you'll be able to cut after week 1.
Yeah.
Adonai Mitchell.
And how many defensive linemen are we up to now?
I think this is 4. No, this is.
I think this has got to be 5. It's got to be. It's at least 4.
It's definitely 5, maybe 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He currently has 5. He must have already dropped someone.
Okay. All right. That's good. Strength in numbers. I admire that.
That's right. I like it. And wrap it up with Mitchell, and however the fuck you pronounce that first name.
I mean, he's a guy that in the draft I thought was a really intriguing prospect, kind of Deebo Samuel-esque in the comps that he's had, a lot of big playmaking out of the backfield and screen game and all that stuff. But I don't know how he fits with the Colts right now, and that maybe kneecaps a lot of his potential.
It could. At the same time, at least for the moment, rookie wide receiver, there is definitely potential there.
Yeah.
Let's just say he's not the first guy I'd cut if it was me.
No, that's a good point.
I don't know if he'll turn into anything this year, but I wouldn't be shocked if he starts showing some signs partway through the season, and might be worth a stash later on.
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, look, overall, there's not much that I don't like about this team. Legitimately, I like a ton of the pieces. Like I said, my big gripe is going to be, man, you are hurting at running back already, and we haven't even had the first injury of training camp yet that I know of. Knock on wood. I haven't looked at ESPN in a while, so
right.
It's just a matter of time, though. So,
yeah,
depth is something that's going to be easily fixable, though. There are going to be a lot of roster spots opening up, a lot of jockeying for playing time around the NFL over the next month. So it's just something where, you're going to have to be on top of it. But as of today, I do like this team, and I feel like 7th is a realistic spot.
Yeah. Well, it's got a good core. It's got a good start, and it definitely has room for improvement, but it's got a path to that improvement too. You stay active on the waivers, keep an eye on things, and I think there's a real chance this team could potentially make a push.
Absolutely. Just looking at it, it's not like an old team. We're not looking at a bunch of guys that are, 36, 37 years old, and guys that are going to be done in the next year or two. There's a lot of youth here, a lot of upside.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the contract game and you've got 8 guys that you're going to be keeping around for the next, 2 to 4 years, hell yeah. Let's see what happens with some of these guys. I think it's a really good start, and I think there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like 7's a good place for now.
Yeah.
See where he ends the season.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Carl, anything else you would like to add?
Not at the moment. I hope we can schedule another one of these before too long and can chat about someone else's team.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I like
All
it.
right. Well, thank you for joining me. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do this again here soon.
I hope so. Thanks for having me, Ben.
Thank you. All right. We'll catch you degenerates later.